Let's now cover how to write Python if statements. So conditional statements in Python are written with this keyword if. So I'm going to show you how that is done now. So you begin the line with the word if, and then you follow it immediately by the condition. This condition must evaluate as true or false. And then at the end of this first line, you put a colon. So this is new. Now, what will be executed if this condition is true will follow in what's called a code block. So these lines of code are the code block. This is obviously not Python code. This is just trying to inform you how, it's like a template for how the if statement works. So this code block will be indented, and we'll talk about indentation later. So everything that is indented is part of this code block, and this code block will only get executed if the condition is true. Let's go ahead and create our first if statement. And before we do that, let's review conditions. So one of the easiest ways to create a condition is with one of the comparison operators. So let's just compare two numbers like 20 and 0. Is 20 greater than 0? Well, that is true. You could say, is 20 greater than 50? Well, that is false. So what we'll do here is, let's go ahead and assign a variable like x equal to some number, say 20, and then we will write our if statement. We'll say if x is greater than 0, so a very simple condition. We will then put a colon over here. So that completes the first line of an if statement, which is must have all three of these pieces. It must begin with the word if. It must have some condition here that evaluates as true, and then it must end in a colon. Now, when I press enter over here, the Jupyter Notebook will automatically indent. So this is very important. You see here, it doesn't go to the beginning of the line because it knows you've entered a code block. So that is very smart. This code block will only get executed if this condition is true, which it is right now, but if I change x in a little bit, it will not be true. Let's go ahead and write a couple lines of code here. So what I'm going to do here is create a new variable called half and just have it equal to half of the value of x. So I will make an assignment statement. I will say x divided by 2. And then I will just have a print statement, and I will use an f string so I can put in values. So I could say half of the value of x is half, like this. So if you remember, curly braces allows you to input in other variables into a string. So I'm just creating a string, formatted string. This is the technical term is interpolate. So I can interpolate, just substitute in the value of x over here and its value half right here. Okay, so this line is also indented. It is also part of the code block. That means these two lines are only executed if this condition is true, which right now it is true. So let's go ahead and execute this. So both of these lines will be run. Half of the value of 20 is 10. So that looks good. Now, if I change this to say negative 20, then this statement, then this code block will not be run. So let's go ahead and execute that to show you that it looks like nothing has happened. But what really has happened is, okay, this line gets executed, of course. Then this line also gets executed. But since this is false, Python will just not run this. So we are changing the flow of our program with this if statement. Okay, so that is the very basics of an if statement. We'll see more complex ones in upcoming videos.